And I was going to take this week off too, but decided now let's come back.
So, I mean, you can ask any question you want. I mean, on metaphysics, doesn't have to be what we went over.
My question is, it's hard to find a teacher. It's hard to find the guidance that one would need and the instruction. You're a blessing because I came across you by miracle. How would one evolve on their own without instruction? Would it be a series of meditation, just reading and finding their own mantras? What would you suggest someone do if they don't have access to a teacher?
I would say look for a teacher. You cannot, a lot of people think they can, but you need a teacher. You know, you cannot approach this type of, unless you're an extraordinary person, this type of metaphysics without a teacher. You need someone to guide you. And you might need a series of teachers on different things. But it's impossible. And that's on any job you go to or anything you go to take up. You need a teacher. You need someone to instruct you. Now, in yoga tells you this. The first yoga is Nani and Kama. That's the first yoga. Nani yoga is knowledge and wisdom, and Kama yoga is making all the right actions from knowledge and wisdom. And then the next yoga is Bhatha yoga, which observe God in everything, because Nani yoga tell you that and Kama yoga tell you that. So you need a teacher to teach you, and then all the other yogas come after that. So, but you need a teacher, you know. So it's best for people to seek out teachers. And today you can have a teacher. If you, until you find a teacher, you find a good book from a teacher, such as there's a lot of good literature out there now, and that's why I make the literature available on my website free. It's only a few books. I got a lot of books there, but it's only those authors that the pictures of the authors you see on the when you open it up. Those are the ones that I highly recommend. Everybody else is just a reference or a study, but you need a teacher. There's no way to get around that, because if not, you will wander for years, for lifetimes, without a good teacher. And normally when you find a good teacher, you might be with that teacher a couple lifetimes. So, but you always need a teacher. I know the new, a lot of people say, oh, you don't need no teacher, you just need to go and meditate. Well, most people can't meditate. Most people don't even know what meditation is. So so you need a teacher in order to teach you what meditation is before you even try to meditate. And to do real, true meditation, it'll take a couple lifetimes. So that's a whole nother subject. But you always need a good teacher. Always. And when you were telling me that some of the people you ran into say, oh, you don't need a teacher too, right? Mm-hmm. But
They still say that today.
That's a misnomer. You need a teacher. So I don't know where people get that from, but that they don't, but they do.
follow-up with that, why teach? Why teach then? As a follow-up to that.
Why?
Yeah, why teach?
Teaching is a service. It's karma yoga. It's one of the first services you can do. You know, I was just since I had time off with this hurricane, my wife and I was talking, and I realized that next year would make 40 years of me teaching. It'd be my 40 years of me holding this class here. So, and I probably wouldn't have thought about it if I didn't take the time off I had. But yeah, it's a service. It's a service. It's part of one of the things you need to do. You know, when you get to a certain level of knowledge and experience and understanding, then you have to give back. You know. Now, I could have just said, okay, forget it. I'm just going to stay in the bliss and and to continue to just develop myself and don't worry about nobody else. But that would have been wrong. You know? That would have been wrong. So, are we on?
Yeah, we're on. And Loretta's on. She says hello.
So yeah, it's a part of your karmic duty is to teach. Once you have the ability to do so, you know. So, I mean, that's something that all of us will probably have to go through at one point, you know, in our development.
Loretta asks, can you review the process of creation starting at parasound?
The process of creation. Yeah. So, Robin says she can't get the recording.
She can't access the video?
I guess not.
Can you ask her to refresh the page? Is she on campus or at home?
She on campus. Yeah, we can do that. Refresh your page. Yeah, so the process of creation, a lot of people get lost with this. I don't know why, but if you can imagine that there's this endless potential with the absolute being God. And this endless potential has always been there. It's never been manifested because God is endless potential. And then from that endless potential came the parasound, which is in the Hindu text or the Buddhist text is called Vak, the initial sound. The initial sound in order to manifest the endless potential into a solid form, into a new solid form or whatever, outside of the original static potential. So now the static potential, this endless potential is if you can imagine, the endless potential is silence, right? And it's stillness. Then the parasound, right, is movement. So from stillness comes movement. Which is creation, as we know it. And from that is described, this right here is in the Hindu, is described as Shiva, right? Is a Shiva state, and then this is a Shakti state. Shiva, meaning all power, is absolute consciousness. Anything is above consciousness because it is. It has no beginning, no end. And then Shakti was the endless potential of Shiva. It was the endless potential of Shiva. Shakti was the endless potential of Shiva. And then comes Shiva. Shiva begins to modify itself and build the universe as we know it. You know, and Shiva reveals the principles of Shiva, which is like the foundation of Shiva, which is the Nani, the wisdom and knowledge that everything will be governed by, and the framework of the wisdom and knowledge that everything will be governed by is karma, is a framework of karma. And then the mind energy, the what they call chitta, which is this universal mind energy that molds matter together, that molds energy and matter together, and then you have the what they call in Sanskrit amanda, which is the love energy, the preservation of energy, and then you have prana, which is the energy that is sustained, that is molded and sustained by mind and love, which goes out to manifest the Mahabhutas, which is 5 cosmic energies, which is can be considered cosmic elements, which is the Mahabhutas is Akasa, Vayu, and TJs or Agni, Apas, and Paritis, which is real easy to understand. Kasa is etheric sound and space. Vayu is air or motion, and TJ is Agni, or Agni is light or fire or heat. And then Apas is liquid, and Verities is a solids. It's a solid type element, and these 5 elements combined makes up the manifested universe. And then from that, the motion and movement of the Mahabhutas and the Shakti principles actually creates or what is identified as the Tavas, the Tavas or Taviks, which is the mode of motion in which they travel and move and manifest. And that's how you have the Tavic rays throughout the universe, which creates the realms of existence in which everything operates. And then of course the Mahabhutas, as they move through the universe, it modifies into finer and grosser energies, which makes up everything that we use as unconscious and conscious beings as we move through this manifested universe. So I hope that answered that. And if she have my book, I think I go into that. I go into that a lot in that book, right? The ancient language of the soul. I break that down if you want to buy that book. And then of course we have dozens of lectures where I go into that. I go into creation. Any other questions? Did I answer her question? Or did she want to know more? Is the signal coming through? The signal's weak here? Is the signal weak? Okay.
You said yes.
That answered it? Okay.
Can you speak?
Can you? Go ahead. Can you discuss the modifications of mind and different levels of consciousness?
She said modifications of mind on what level? Because there are several levels of modifications of mind.
She didn't specify.
Tell us, specify on the modifications of mind. The levels of consciousness can be easily described. And the best way to do that is with the chakras. Okay? Of course, if in our daily lives we have a conscious mind that we're using right now to communicate with each other. And then we have a subconscious mind, which is more like an operating system for our makeup. And then we have a superconscious mind, which is a high operating system for the soul, right? So, and then we have a supraconscious mind, which is even a higher level of operation for the soul. Now, the conscious mind is what we use to communicate with in a conscious and subconscious type, conscious and unconscious type level, because even the conscious mind operates on several different levels. Is because sometimes we're conscious and unconscious of things. You notice when we learn certain behaviors about ourselves, we can do a task without thinking about it. And that's an unconscious state because we have trained our body to do that task. But at the same time, we're thinking about something else, right? And then we have the subconscious mind, which is a functioning type part of our mind, which is like an operating system that works in the background to make sure everything works properly. And that part of our mind adheres to the karmic law. It will not alter, it will not go against karma. In other words, it's always going to do the right thing. It's always going to operate in the right manner. The conscious mind will operate with free will and freedom. Freedom is operating within the law of karma. Free will is pushing against the law of karma in order to bring reactions to you that you really don't need, you know. And then, of course, the superconscious mind is that part of the mind that is a guiding factor for the subconscious mind and the conscious mind to a certain extent. So that's the levels of mind. But now, going back to the realms, she said the realms, right? The realms she said the different realms of consciousness?
Or different levels, but I guess that could be realms as well.
Now, if we go to the realms of existence, that is associated with our psychic centers or chakras. The same way our conscious and subconscious mind is too. Now, in ancient teachings, they look at the seven chakras along the spine, really six. And what that is the sex center, the base of the spine, right? And then you have the sex center, and then you have the solar plexus, and then you have the heart chakra, and you have the throat, and you have the Christ. Of course, you have the crown above too as well. Now, each one of these are realms of existence or levels of consciousness, right? Right now, we operate on the physical plane. We operate on these two chakras. Okay? Now, why? This is the initial level of consciousness, because anything below here is actually either the lower hells or the animal levels of consciousness. Okay? Here is these two is the physical and astral realms. And this is the astral realms too. But it's also the physical realm too. Now, from here up is more of the mental realms and the etheric realms. Let's see, etheric mental realms. Okay? Now, you have, when we talk about the constitution of man, the mystic constitution of man, the makeup of man, you have consciousness, the initial consciousness start at the base of the spine, and then it moves here, and the consciousness resides here. And if you just look around at our world today, right? What does our world consist of?
Male, female,
Male, female, sex,
positive, negative.
positive, negative. It's all about that. Because why? Because that's where our consciousness resides. We always got to relate something to something physical. Even if that thing have been removed from a physical plane of existence or physical levels of operation, we always have to relate it back to the physical because of that. All right? And so you'll see that the conscious mind and the subconscious mind operates heavily in the base and the sex center and in the solar plexus, but more in the base and the sex center. All right? And you'll notice that the energies that operate in those centers do the same thing. The students say they can't get the class online. But you're going through to Hawaii and you're not coming to Miami?
Several people are online now. Asking questions. Is she on a mobile device or a computer?
I don't know.
I'll call her.
You gonna talk to her?
But I'll have to step away for a bit.
Let me just tell her. We're online. There's several people online right now. Try refreshing. So you'll notice the play of this. The solar plexus center deals with the subconscious level more on a functioning level of things. These two deals with a feed in and a feed out of the subconscious mind, meaning that that there's a basic level of consciousness that creates a stream of modifications within the auric fields and the mental fields of the human existence, meaning that we have smell, taste, desires, or whatever, which comes into us and is not clearly understood through the senses. So it creates these waves, these modifications within the aura. Now, when you get to the solar plexus level, the mind moves into a more functioning thing, because what does this type of energy is a transforming type energy. That's why you have your digestive system here. You have the stomach area, the digestive system, and all the systems that modify solids to liquids, or liquids to neuron energy, or whatever. That's why it functions more as a functioning and not as an intake and output. Okay? She says not working on her phone. Okay, so and then now when you look at the energies here, you have when you look at the five major energies that spoke about in the ancient texts. At the base level, you have apana, which is an energy that moves up and always fall back down. And then in the sex energy, you have Viana, which is an energy that moves over the entire body. And then in the solar plexus center, you have an energy that's mostly stationary, but it becomes the conjunction point for all other energies, because all other energies in the body pass through the solar plexus. So it's a conjunction point. And that's Samanta, the Samanta prana. And then in the heart chakra, you have the prana energy, and that's an energy that goes up and fall back down and come back to the heart chakra. So that that's an energy that that feeds the lower part of the body, but and part of the upper part, but it always come back to the heart. And then you have the Udana energy at that level, at the throat level, which moves into the head, to the arms, hands, fingers, and down to the legs, feet, and toes. And that's where it goes. But you notice it goes through the solar plexus center, and that's the energies. Actually, that I answer her question. See if she understood.
Loretta, if you can tell me if he answered
Huh?
your question, as well as what specific modifications of mind you're referring to. Let's see. There's another question here. They're asking about toning for self-healing. They said they've heard that you make the lowest tone your voice can make to ground your root chakra.
To ground your root chakra.
Yeah.
You talking about the mantra?
I don't know if they made a mention. Is it just making a tone or maybe a note, a particular sound? I'm not sure what it means.
Well, you have eraser?
No, I don't.
No. Why did I take the eraser out of here?
Yeah, I gave you my last set of markers and eraser.
No, I gave it back to you.
No, I don't have it.
I must have took it out for the... I think it's sitting on my
On your desk or something?
on my table, yeah. So What they asking about now?
Toning.
For
Toning for self-healing. They said they've heard that if you make the lowest tone your voice can make to ground your root chakra.
No, I don't know where they heard that from. If you want self-healing, you can do self-healing simply with visualization practices and deep breathing. Okay? In order for something to work, you have to clear the mind and direct the mind. Remember that your mind is operating your body. So the same way if you had a computer and there was a virus in it, what do? You install what?
Antivirus.
An antivirus program. So in other words, you change the perception and the direction of the electrons within that computer in order to weed out the negative input. So you do the same thing for your body and your mind if you need some type of self-healing. So what do? What sustains consciousness? The thing that sustains consciousness is what?
The breath.
It's breath. You breathing. That's why the yogis, the Buddhists, they always go back to pranayama, which is breath. So you get a breathing technique and you regulate your breath and you regulate your mind with the breath. If you think good thoughts or you think healing thoughts, then healing will take place, because on that breath, you will impregnate that breath, which is energy, with the healing qualities in order to heal yourself. So it's as simple. It's not hard. The Their Society have a book called You Too Can Heal. You can go to aetherius.org and order that book, and they give you self-healing techniques in there. Techniques are very simple. I think one of the techniques is you place your left hand over the solar plexus center, and the right hand, it was right here or here, and you pull the energy down through your head and you push it into your chakras in order to stimulate a self-healing technique. And you can actually lay down and do that, or sit up in a chair and do it. So, but I'm not going to give you the technique, but buy the book. I don't make no money off the book, but buy the book and learn how to do the self-healing. It's a technique that's been used for hundreds of years, and you'll notice a difference. And once you can get the energy to flow through your hand, then you can do all types of things, especially with the energy and using mantra. I woke up one morning, had a swollen eye, went in front of the mirror and used the energy to bring my eye back to normal, and it works. So I just manipulated energy, put it over my eye, and when I opened my eye 5 minutes later, it was my eyes was back to normal. So the technique works. Don't take my word for it, do it. Just go and do it. It works. And it works good with mantra. If you have a particular mantra that you can use to harness the energy, you chant the mantra. The mantra, what the mantra actually does, what sound, if you're using a mantra, what it does, it accelerates the aura within the body. And what it does, it pushes down, just like a centrifuge. If you had a centrifuge and you filled that centrifuge up with blood, what you'll notice is that the blood particles, it would separate, and you can see the different layers of the blood. Well, with your aura, when you intone a mantra just right, then what happens, the negative flow of energy or negative impurities within the aura falls down to the lower centers below the base of the spine, and it clears a pathway to allow pure energy to come in. And that's why you use a mantra to do prayer or healing or whatever, and then you can pull a higher quality energy into your aura, and you can redirect it wherever you want to go to. That's why you use the mantra, and with that you can have miraculous healings, if karma allows it. So study those books on prana manipulation. Any other question?
Yeah, Loretta, to answer your question, the first book he said was Ancient Language of the Soul, and that's by Nehemiah, and you can purchase that on Amazon. The second book he mentioned is You Too Can Heal by Dr. George King, and that is available from the Aether Society. You might be able to find it on Amazon as well, but you'll definitely find it from the Aether Society. She asks, can you recommend a mudra text, book, or resource?
Can I?
Yeah.
No, I can't. I really haven't seen one that's good enough, to be honest with you. I have some lecture tapes on mudra. But the problem with a lot of the mudra books is that they get it wrong, and they go against the ancient teachings. A lot of this stuff is given to you through word of mouth. Although some people claim to have it and they write these books, and it's all wrong. So, or at least 50% of it is wrong. So, I can't really recommend one. There is one book. I'm not recommending it, but I do have it on one of the free books online. I think it's there. It's by Siva Satananda. He has a book called Mudra Yoga. Although I don't agree with everything's there, it's a good book. He doesn't go into a lot of mudra techniques. He go more into the fourth limb of is it the fourth limb or the third limb? No, the third limb. The third limb of yoga, of Raja Yoga, the asanas or the mudras, the mudra positions. He goes into that. He give one or two mudras out, and I think that's a good book. It's free online. But he doesn't do a lot of mystic hand signs. But I do a couple of lectures which I give a lot of information that you won't find elsewhere. So you'll have to be initiated into it. Any other questions?
Oh, you might want to tell Lucinda and Robin that if they're not watching it, it's better to try and watch it through the YouTube app and not a browser on their phone.
Okay. Watch it through the YouTube app and not the browser on your phone. Okay, there's no more questions?
Loretta, I will I'll put together a list of the lectures where Nehemiah talks about mantra that we have online and send it to you. But there are talks about it spread out through several lectures. For example, we did a series on spiritual healing, did a series on prayer, and a series on Raja Yoga where he goes into Mudra Yoga as well. And those are set up as playlists. So you can go through those and get more information on mudras and mantras.
And she can order their society have a book, not a book. They have a tape, an initiation tape on mantra. It's called Dynamic and Soul Mantra. She can buy that from the Their Society. Theirs.org. You can go and buy it there.
Yeah, she's looking more for interest. Yeah, but he has given out several mudras already. So what we use for prayer, for sending out spiritual energy, that's a mudra. Even for the practice of the presence and the things like that, you have several mudras already.
Any other questions?
I have some questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if anybody else has any. Yes, Loretta. There are actually a few tapes where Dr. George King goes into mantra, but the main one is the initiation into dynamic and soul mantra, where he gives you several mantras to practice. And then in other lectures, he talks about the power of mantra and what can be performed with them. Specifically, some lectures on Operation Prayer Power, and that's an application of mantra used in a group. Nehemiah has several lectures on mantra as well, and the science behind mantra and sound, and so that like the first question you asked on power sound.
In fact,
that dovetails into mantra as well.
My book, The Ancient Language of the Soul, the full name of it is The Ancient Language of the Soul and the Mystic Knowledge of Mantra. So in that book, you will find a lot of information on mantra. So there's a book about mantra itself.
There you go. Okay, I have some questions about life on the realms.
This is, what is this? Royal Blue Nail. She said that's what they're watching it through.
Royal Blue Nail.
Someone's pushing our stuff through there. She said that's what they're watching it on. Go ahead.
So after the death of the physical body, and the consciousness is in that kind of state of confusion, what what is that like purgatory type realm they go to?
It's been called several different names. Everyone doesn't go through that.
Right.
So, but it's been called several different names. You can make a name up for it. It's a state of confusion. It's a realm. Some people call it a realm, the realms of the waiting realms or something. Yeah. So, but it's not. It lasts for a short time with some people and for a longer time with other people. But when your physical body die, your astral body dies too. And then there's your consciousness moves on in a particular because there's several layers of the astral body, and there's several layers of the etheric body, and it's really vibrational states of mind. So if you're the counterpart of the physical body, that part of the astral body dies. Then there's another layers of the astral body that moves on, or the etheric body that moves on, and then that body transition into another state of vibration, depending on what realm of existence you're going to go and live on. You understand what I'm saying? One of the things you'll notice on the astral planes is that there's no graveyards. Mm-hmm. You know, that when you transition, you take that part of you with you. It just vibrates to a different level of existence. And that's why it takes longer to transition. You understand what I'm saying by that? Mm-hmm. I say if you was living on one of the realms, and you're developing yourself spiritually, psychically, and spiritually, right? So, in order for you to leave that realm, all of you have to be able to lead. Your whole existence have to be able to vibrate to the next level and sustain that on the next realm.
Okay.
Now,
so you couldn't leave a body here like we do and move to the next.
Yeah,
you
you
have to
can't
bring
do
everything,
that.
all the body, all your aura with you to the same.
You can't do that, because our problem is when we get to the stage of ascension, we have to take all the residue that we left behind us. We have to take it with us. We have to transition that. So the longer we stay on this earth, the greater drag we're putting on ourselves, in other words.
Like the more cleanup we have to do.
Yeah, the more cleanup. And I mean a drag, meaning that it's slowing our development up. Mm-hmm. You know, in fact, the fact that we met the half-life of this earth, and you know, recently that created a greater pressure on us. You know, because now, you know, there's a timetable on the cleanup. Mm-hmm. So there's a greater drag. So in actuality, it's going to be harder to develop yourself without doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. You know? So if you can understand that. We get into advanced metaphysics, we begin to talk about that. And then most people, you don't want to even talk about it because they need to understand so many other things in order to understand what you're talking about. So that's a problem. So that's why in the books that you read, they'll talk about you know, you can advance faster here on Earth. Mm-hmm. than what you can on the other realms, and that's one of the reasons.
Because of the karmic pressures.
And when you transition, you have to transition everything. You have to be able to vibrate to that level. Now, right now, we can develop our ability to concentrate and contemplate and make a conscious projection or mental projection to the other realms. But our full consciousness is not going with us. See, karma allow us to do that relatively easy here, right? Now, on the other realms, we can transition, we can project from realm to realm to realm to realm, but the higher we get, the greater the pressure is. That's why if you go too high, you have an instant, what? Transmutation, where you have to, where you enter the cycle of rebirth immediately. If you go to the higher realms and you're not supposed to be there, your body, you can't sustain that level of consciousness. So you transmute it, and now you enter the wheel of rebirth again. And if need be, if your conscious need to be split up in order to teach you a lesson, not to do that again, that's what will happen. So that's why. And that's why there's no graveyards. That's the first thing you're going to notice. There's no graveyards. When you come to the physical plane, you fly over an area and you see a graveyard in every town. It's not like that there. So that's the difference.
During the process building up to your incarnation, if I understand it correctly, there's a planning period where either you and a guide will kind of sit down and just plan out what your next incarnation, or what you would like to accomplish next incarnation.
No, it doesn't work like that. What happens is when you get ready to be reborn.
Correct, yeah.
When you get ready to reborn, there's something called the hall of self-judgment. You go into this hall of self-judgment, which can be anywhere really, but we know specifically where it is. And if anybody want to know, they have to go and study. But you go into the hall of self-judgment. What the higher beings or the higher cosmic being, a person have to have the caliber of a cosmic being, they will guide you into a meditation. And you will make contact with your higher self. And your higher self will impose limitations on you for your next life. That's how it works.
So there's no, like me saying, I want to do X, I want to accomplish X, Y, and Z in this upcoming incarnation.
It's you. It's you doing it.
It is you, but yeah.
But you're guided into a meditation. It's the same as something similar to it would be the way Paramahansa Yogananda talks about Sri Yukteswar coming to him and tapping him, on his chest, and he falls into a meditation and goes into cosmic consciousness. So a cosmic being will come to you and tap you on your auric structure or whatever, and then you fall into this meditation, and then you contact your higher self, your soul consciousness, and then they will, based on your needs going forward, will place the limitations on you in order to choose to pick your parents, your family members, your friends, or whatever, for the next life.
Okay.
And that's how that happened.
So that's that planning process in a sense.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, and the 9 freedoms kind of go into that a little bit. I don't know if you say if they actually say a cosmic being. And that's one of the cosmic beings that's according to, when you go back to the secret doctrines, they speak as though there's a cosmic being that governs the realms. Each realm of existence have a particular cosmic being that governs that realm of existence. Whether it's one of the Great White Brotherhoods or whether it's one of the cosmic beings of this solar system, we don't know. We know that is governed by the great beings of Saturn. We know that, but that's what that is.
And so your astrology and your numerology, that's sort of a record of the arrangement that was made in the Hall of Self-Judgment?
Well, what that is those are energy readings. See, if there's a
Sorry to cut you off. Like, for example, my chart says I'll have indigestion and digestive issues. And I've had that. I do have that my entire life. But that's just, was that agreed to, or I say a limitation you will have in this life during the Hall of Judgment?
They're just energy patterns. They're energy readings. In other words, you ever watch those documentaries that they talk about where they go and they study the ancient past, of when we had floods, of when when a meteorite hit, when there was a huge explosion, and what do?
You look at the soil layers.
They look at the soil layers, and they go to mountains, and they look and see how the mountains grew, and the layers of the mountains or whatever, or they go and realize that mountain one time was underwater, and because they find fish fossils or whatever. Those are energy layers of patterns, right? So when you enter the physical plane, there's a huge subtle explosion that happens, and there's a huge fluctuation pattern in that area that's happening. Now, we don't see it because why? We have put blinders up, and the only thing we want to notice is the physical things that's happening, right? But within the womb of your mother, which is a portal, a portal to this world from the other world, from the mental worlds. Her womb is a portal into this world. It's like a Stargate, if you want to look at it, right? That's what it is to this world. There's huge things that's going on. So only thing astrology do is they know that we are the resort of what? Of what the scientists are coming to the conclusion now. We are the resort of what? I just went over it just a few minutes ago. We're the resort of stardust, right? There was this sound and this light and this this etheric liquid, the etheric space and this solids and fire and heat, and the resort of it is what? Is teeming with life all over the universe, right? So astrology, only thing astrology do and numerology do is look at how the great, what they call what the Hindus and the Buddhists call the Mahabindus, how the Mahabindus sustain life within the solar system. They read the stars. And the only reason why we are existing here is because of the sun, the great Mahabindu. And the planets all the 9 or 10 major planets and then all its moons affect the life on this planet and every other planet. So what they do, they plot the movements of that. And they have plotted the movements of that for centuries. So based on that, they can determine the karmic position in which you entered this world based on the date that you came. And then sound being what? Consciousness, right? And numerology is based on what? Sound. Because in numerology, you do what? You break down the sound bits of the name, right? Mm-hmm. So, but then when you take numerology, numerology is related to what? Astrology. So astrology and numerology, it only plots the moment in which you enter this world. And then based on that, they can give the energy that's going to be accessible to you, and they can plot the levels of challenges that you're going to have, right? And they can also plot the height of success you're going to have, or the lows that you're going to have. And that's what that is. They just reading the stars, that in order to determine the energy that's available to you. It's energy patterns. That's what it is. Mm. And you studied numerology, so it's very, very accurate. Mm-hmm. And a good astrology is very, very accurate to someone who really knows it and can do it. It can be very accurate. And that's all they're doing. The moment in which the karmic moment that you came into this earth can determine the situations that that's gonna challenge you. And remember, the cosmic laws, a cosmic being follows karmic law. And the cosmic being that puts you into meditation in order to contact your higher self is a cosmic being too. Mm-hmm. And it's going to follow law, It's going to follow the laws of sustainability and the framework of karma and all of that. Okay? It's not going to go outside of the laws.
How long have we been going? Over an hour.
We're
going over an hour. All right, I have one final question then. In regards to sustenance on the other realms, mm-hmm. If I understand it correctly, because I've been researching it a little bit, mm-hmm. the higher, on some of the higher realms, they're, like as you go higher, they move away from solid. Some people still eat solid foods, but they're more like fruits or not so much meat. And the higher up you go, it becomes more and more subtle, where they take in prana directly and survive the prana. Mm-hmm. And even the much higher realms, they survive off of like love energy itself. Mm-hmm. That I had a question about. I was saying, so in the higher realms, where I understand love being the preservative force. Mm-hmm. But how exactly is that the sole intake they use to preserve their existence on the higher realms? First of all, is that correct? And secondly,
so you're getting into advanced metaphysics now. How can I say this? Because this will take. Remember, what do we know about love energy?
It's the third degree creative aspect force that preserves all of creation, or keeps it in manifestation.
Right. So love energy is like, is related. If we really want to understand love energy, then we can study what is called fusion?
Okay.
You ever studied fusion?
A bit, a little bit.
It's nuclear, right? Right? What's nuclear fusion?
It is the fusing together of two or more nuclei.
But what does it do?
It releases a large amount of energy and creates a new element.
It sustains itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what? It sustains itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what?
From itself.
From itself. That's what love energy does. Okay? So love energy is related to, if anything on this world physical, if you study this, then you understand love energy.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the difference is that you got right? So that you understand. Always go back to
Metaphysical makeup.
huh?
The metaphysical makeup.
Yeah. Always go back to this. Okay? Now, love energy begins to operate in its pure state from here up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Because the heart center is what manifests. And beyond, there's a granting out there, and then beyond that, that's where we're operating in the higher realms.
Okay. And if even on the physical plane, what sustains the heart?
Kundalini.
I'm saying, well, let's look at it on a physical level. Right? Proper air, right? Or oxygen. Right?
Right.
Sorry, my mind is leaving me. Oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in the heart, you have what? You have gnomes, right? You know what gnomes is, right?
Like the lobes, you mean?
Lobes, yeah. It's a sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that sound do?
It regulates the body and the circulation of the heart, the pumping action of the heart.
Yes. And what it does, it allows blood to go out and allows blood to come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the mystic heart, you have two psychic centers. They have fused themselves together to make what? To make one
Heart center.
heart center, right? And then in the throat center, you have one face of the heart, and then in the Christ center, you have three, right? Mm-hmm. And in the 9 freedoms, they told us that love is balanced through what? Through all 3 of those chakras, and you'll have a pure love, right? Mm-hmm. You have this pure love energy, right? Because why? Because it's those things that what? That sustains, that brings about this fusion type energy. So the higher realms are where?
Heart and up.
From the heart center up.
Is that there's the fusion of, would you say Ida and Pingala is into a pure Kundalini flow?
Yeah, because in a sense that they follow the law, right? And you have to understand. One of the things Dr. King said in his lecture, he said the foundation to love energy is understanding. See? And the more you educate yourself and the more you understand things about this energy, the more you realize that you have to follow the law of karma, right? And in following the law of karma, you notice that you have to become impersonal with everything. You understand? So the same way the sun gives its energy to everyone and everything in an impersonal way. And the sun exists to allow everything else to sustain itself. That's pure love energy. So the higher chakras have you to understand that. So when you get to that level, remember I told you about the love energy is a grounding force? Mm-hmm. Because why?
Connects us to the earth.
It connects to what? To this great cosmic Mahabindu, the earth. To what? And when you connect with it, then the energy flows. So now you can get your nourishment from the earth directly instead of getting your nourishment from where?
Fruits.
From the plants and fruits of the earth. Because why? They knock out all the blockages, right? Mm-hmm. So now they don't have to take in physical substance. They take in the subtle substance from the earth, from the moon, and from the sun. Because why? The only way you're going to do that is by grounding yourself into what? Into the law, into the flow of the, and when you ground yourself into the law, is the flow of the real energy. Remember, the higher you get here, the more you understand about the law of karma. Mm-hmm. And the more you realize that your love has to be impersonal. It cannot be centered on one person or one thing or one, you can't have possession. You have to do as the earth gives its atmosphere to everyone. Even the cockroach, you know, even the mouse, even the little tiny ant. And the sun does the same thing. So and they have this unlimited source of energy, right? And it's unlimited source of energy. Everything below this does what? It pulls on and breaks down. It follows a different. It's the same law, but it's a different law. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? It's working on.
It's a lower aspect of it.
It's a lower aspect. In fact, in the Nine Freedoms, Mars Sector 6, and the Nine Freedoms states that it manifests itself as a basic product of love, as emotion and sentiment, right? And then Dr. King even goes further and talks about the opposite of the love, which falls below even the base of the spine. He talks about hate being a thing that pulls and eats on everything around it. And it uses fear in order to ground everyone in that hate consciousness. And it just tears it up. And the more you the more you give in to hate, the more power you give hate. And then it begins to just possess and take over you to the point where you can't function. You know? So that's the difference.
Well, that's why when someone who's given themselves into hate and kind of this negative lifestyle mm-hmm. Crosses over, they enter, they're kind of deformed in the sense that this hate energy just tore at their...
It just ate them up.
Their astral and etheric counterparts.
Yeah. And then when they get on those lower astral realms, they have to continue to pull on this drug called fear and hate and envy and jealous and all these other things. And when you study, and I think I went over this before too, when you study the impurities of the lower chakras, they list like 21 different impurities that feeds this this basic emotion and this lower consciousness of yourself. And these are the things that weigh us down from life after life after life after life, and have us to go on this vicious reincarnation, into the lower astral realms, back on this earth, into the lower astral realms, back on this earth, over and over and over and over, until we can rise above those things and sustain a level of consciousness through the intake and the practice of love energy, becoming impersonal and seeing the good in everyone, seeing the good in everything, and then you can break what the Hindus call the samsara, the wheel of rebirth. You can break that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I think we'll close with that.
There's no more questions?
Well, there's one question. So you're asking about how is your community handling the effects of restoration after the storm?
Now, we're coming along good here on this part of Miami. It's the Keys they got hit the worst, and Florida City and Homestead areas, which is the last two cities of Miami-Dade County. And then the Keys is Monroe County. The Keys was 25% destroyed, 65% damaged. So, and most of the residents of the Keys have moved up to Miami-Dade County and Broward County, and waiting to go back and repair their homes or replace their homes. But this part, most of us are pretty good. On that note, we can close out.
The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive for their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. Thank you for watching, everyone. Welcome back, and we will see you next week.